as a placebo for the,
Mm.
the presence of God, and for operating in a place where God is really pleased with us. And I think the pandemic gave us an opportunity to really dig into our realities,
Wow.
and not what people see on the front facing side, but to actually figure out who I am in God and what I mean to him, and what my real purpose is, being an artist is not a purpose. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It is a window into your creativity, but it is not your purpose. And I think we have to figure out, well, what is my purpose? God, I sing well, but what is the purpose behind it? Is the singing ministry? You know what I mean? But being an artist is not a purpose. Being an artist is the
Wow.
result of being a singer. Being an artist is a result of being a dancer. That is not the purpose. It is the outcropping. It's an expression
Mhm.
of who we are. And I think this is an opportunity for us to figure that part out, so that I really believe, I hope, I pray that when the world does open back up, that we're able to tap into another level of reality, with
Mhm.
regard to our spiritual walk, and that there's a different level of grace that rests on us. Every artist that hits that stage, that we should be like fireballs. We
That's
shouldn't be
right.
able to get through the whole set. The power of God
Right.
should be so prevalent when we get back to those points where we're on stage and people are like, okay, you spent time with God. I think that was the opportunity within the pandemic, for us to figure out who we are in God. And there should be a commensurate grace, a commensurate power that comes with understanding who we are in him.
Wow. I love that. That was so full. That's the pastor. You just coming all out. You can't
Sorry, it
help it.
slips out every now and then. I
It,
know we
it's
supposed to be talking to the artist, but the pastor can't, he
it,
can't differentiate.
it's all in your
He's like,
aura.
we all together.
It's all in you. Are it's all in you. You are it. It's all in you, man. You can't escape it. Listen, what Pastor Nelson just said was so paramount and so vital, and it's so key. If you want to elevate in this season, you better take heed to what this man of God is saying today, because he's dropping some real golden nuggets. On, in other words, you're telling us, Pastor, don't be so caught up in who we think we are that we miss what God is trying to do.
Precisely.
Wow.
Precisely.
Wow. An artist is something that you became. That's not who you destined to be.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think so many people believe that that's a part of their real dynamic. And it's like, nah,
Yeah, it's something
it's
much
an
more.
expression. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's an expression of who you are. It's an expression of the value that God placed in you.
Right.
And artistry is merely it's the stage part of
Right.
your be. It is
Right.
not your be. It's just what people see on the stage. And I think
Wow.
we have to be careful to not fall prey to the ideology that without the stage, I'm nothing. I think that's a dangerous proposition.
Wow. And that's so powerful, because some people, you take their mic away, you take the glitz and the glamour. What do we really have at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
What do we really have at the end of the day? Oh man, that's crazy. You're helping us out today. I know he's sure enough helping me. And if he's speaking to you, let me see them hearts going on that screen. I see y'all. Y'all got any pastors for yeah, if y'all have any questions for Pastor Nelson, y'all may ask, and hopefully if he has the time after, he can answer them. So in the midst
Yeah, I'll
of
try to stay on a little bit longer.
oh,
Let's see what we can
okay.
do.
Let's see what we can do. We're gonna make it work. See, y'all done blessed him tonight. So now he's feeling like hanging out. He's feeling like hanging out. So we got him. We got him. Last time I think we had him on. We kept him for about 45 minutes. We're gonna see if we can keep him. We're gonna see if we can keep him tonight. Pastor Nelson, you have a brother that is just as much of a powerhouse as you are.
Mhm.
And in this industry, with things being so cutthroat, and with things, I was just having this talk with Pastor Haddon the last time he was on. You have a brother in this, right? how do you guys gel and support one another? I have a brother too, and we gel and we support one another. Is it difficult? Is it competitive? You be like, yo, man, you can't touch me, Jonathan, singing.
No,
You know, do you talk to him like that? You don't talk to him crazy.
it is never that. I promise you, all out love is never that. Not at all. That's funny.
I know that was the best of it. You know, y'all twins, but explain the relationship with you and your brother. And a lot of people don't know that you guys are twins. I know I didn't know that for a little while. Explain how that dynamic works and you guys being in the same industry.
It's weird because I've been writing songs longer than he has, but he got exposure first.
Okay.
And that's probably a good thing. Is my temperament early on was not conducive for the gospel music industry.
Got you.
I mean, at all. It was not something that would work in the midst of the gospel music community. And Jonathan getting there first was beneficial because he allowed me the leverage of learning through his lens.
Wow.
Even when it comes down to like how you're dressed, I told the story. Can't remember who I was talking to not too long ago, but my first time at the Stellars, I'm happy. I'm just happy to be there. They're like, I'm so happy to be here. It was that for me. And so we're at the Stellars, and I got off the plane, and I'm happy. They picked me up with the car service and the whole night. I was there with Donald Lawrence because I was. This is when I just started kind of figuring out what that I had something that was really special. Donald Lawrence really helped me to see that. And we were, I got off the plane, got to the hotel, and I saw Jonathan in the lobby of the hotel. And he saw me, he looked at me, and he ran over to me and said, "Boy, what do you have on?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I got on clothes." And Jonathan Nelson said to me, he said, "You look like a tackhead bum." That's what he told me. You look like a tackhead bum. I said,
ain't nobody gonna tell you the truth like your brother. Ain't nobody gonna tell you the truth.
That Jonathan Nelson, he's making it be crazy. Okay? You look like a tackhead bum. And I'm like, right. And I said, yeah, and literally that's my attitude. I was like, so like big deal. And he said, I said, nobody here knows who I am. And he said, "You dummy, when you get on that stage, everybody's gonna know who you are."
Yeah, by that time.
Yeah, at that point. So he said, "Go upstairs and change your clothes. Put on something decent." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I went and changed my clothes. I was irritated, but I changed my clothes. And sure enough, when I got off that stage, people were like, "Oh, you were on stage with Donald Lawrence." So it put something in me. He said, and he told me, he said, "Don't you ever get off a plane looking like you don't belong in this environment." Wow. That's what he told me.
Wow.
And I've never forgotten it. I've actually passed that information on to a bunch of people since then. And it has really been a real blessing to be able to tell people, okay, hey, this is what's going on. This is what the vibe is. This is how you should respond. This is what you need to look like. And again, I'm by no means am I a fashion expert. By no means am I a fashion expert. But I do.
You ain't too shabby. You ain't too shabby.
No, I learned not to look like a tackhead bum anymore. I tell you. I learned that particular part of it. But in general, I've learned how to fit the moment. And you're not going to see me Gucci down and Louis Vuitton down, all that kind of stuff. That's not me. But I have learned how to look nice everywhere I go because you just never know what's going to happen. So Jonathan has been a huge, huge blessing to me in that regard over the course of my years as an artist. And what he's done, the biggest benefit of Jonathan is he's given me the ability to not fall into certain pitfalls.
Right.
Because he's been there. So he's like, "Oh, don't do this, don't do that. Stay away from that. Oh, listen, don't get involved in that over there." So I learned early on how to manage, how to keep up a certain level of decorum with regard to the industry, and it has paid off in spades.
I know that's right. The great Stan Jones is on. He said it, the great Jonathan Nelson. Stan Jones.
Stan knows. See, that's my dude. Stan is my dude. He knows. He knows. He knows.
Yes. I think that is so crazy dope. Because I have two brothers, but and I work with both of them, but one of them works very close to me because he's my MD, and my other brother, he's just in a whole stratosphere by himself. He's amazing. Charles Perry, the Charles Perry. Can't nobody sock it to you like him. And he tells us the truth. But at the end of the day, we all brothers, and it's all brotherly love. It's never no
Yeah.
hate. I don't feel like when I'm winning, they are depressed, or vice versa. And it's such a shame that we have family members that will hate on you, and some may experience that. But I'm glad to say I don't have that issue, and I'm glad you don't have that issue
No, I
either.
definitely don't have that issue.
Because it can get kind of competitive being in the same field. Your song up against his song. I don't care who comes first. Y'all should just want to see each other win, and that's powerful.
Listen, he's my biggest fan, and I'm his biggest fan. Period.
Right. Right.
There is nobody who loves what he does more than I do, and I don't think there's anybody who loves what I do more than he does.
Right.
And because we're both in the gospel industry, but we operate in different, sectors of the gospel industry, and I think that also works to our advantage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And explain that. Where did it all start for you?
Where did it all start for me? I mean, with Jonathan, that's really
That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow.
Okay, well, that's not 100% true. So, in all honesty, I had um, I was signed to a label not long before he started singing with Purpose.
Okay.
So we were, I did a whole record, which was like that rhythm and praise kind of music, Dawkins and Dawkins kind of feel.
I used to love them. You just took me
Yeah.
back.
Like even with the Fred Hammond solo records, I'd done a couple of records. I'd done a whole record like that, and it was interesting.
Disclaimer, I'm gonna let you finish. Y'all don't know Pastor Jason can also play the bass. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, and I was playing a lot back then.
Yeah,
I was playing a lot back then, and
Yeah.
really was known as a bass player.
Right.
When I met Donald Lawrence, I was playing bass. I was not singing.
Wow.
And we were sitting at the table. So let me fast forward. I did that whole record, and the record label folded. So I have a whole record of material that nobody's ever heard.
Wow.
And then playing with Jonathan, singing with Jonathan every now and then. And then we sang for Donald Lawrence. He came in and he needed a choir, so Purpose, excuse me, sang for Donald Lawrence. I played bass, and afterwards, Jonathan said, "Man, you got to hear this guy sing. He can really sing." Long story short, he heard Everything You Are with Jonathan, and a couple months later called me and said, "Hey, man, I need you to come to Chicago and lay some tracks for me." So I'm like, "Cool," I'd already been kind of skilled at doing, tracks and singing in the studio. So it was easy for me to go and sing. I didn't know that I was laying dummy tracks for all of the I Speak Life record that he did with Donald Lawrence and Company. I had no idea at the time when he called me. So I went and became one of the founding members of Donald Lawrence and Company. And that is kind of how I got my break into the industry. So I did Jonathan's record, and then the first major song I did was a song called Lord, I Kiss Your Presence on Gospel Heritage's record. This is probably like maybe 2004, if I'm not mistaken. Scared out of my mind, but it was the first time I was on stage in front of a whole bunch of artists. This when Gospel Heritage was at its peak. So Kirk Franklin was there, Donald was there, obviously. Darwin, that was the day I met Darwin Hobbs. I met Isaac Caree that day. Just like all of these people. And it was all because Donald had me up on stage singing this song, Lord, I Kiss Your Presence. And then from there, I fell in love with the stage. I fell in love with live music. So I left the whole idea of doing the Dawkins and Dawkins kind of stuff and fell in love with the praise and worship, more praise and worship side. And that's how people know me now, as a praise and worship artist. And here we are. See, now that's 20 years later almost. Here we are.
It's still killing. It ain't showing no signs of slowing down.
I appreciate that. I
First,
definitely ain't trying to slow down.
well, we ain't slowing down. We ain't slowing down. Pastor, the first song you felt took you to that. Every artist has that song. You know, that first song you felt took you to that next level, and why? What you think that song was for you?
It was a shift in the atmosphere
Absolutely.
without a question.
Absolutely.
Without a question. I want to say it was I Shall Live, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It was shifting the atmosphere. And
And why do you think that is?
because it was really broadcast to the world. It was the first time I had world exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Was with shifting the atmosphere, and it started with me on tour with Kirk Franklin. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I spent 30 days on tour with Kirk, and he taught me so much about the stage, about presentation, about radio interviews. You know, like the fact that I'm able to do this with you now has its
Wow.
roots in what Kirk taught me in
Wow.
2011.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
literally, he walked us through. It was me and Dion Kipping. He walked us through what was supposed to happen. Say this, don't say that. Don't ever say that. You know, it was like those kinds of things. When you're on stage, if you're on this side of the stage, you got to look that way. If you're on that side of the stage, you got to look that way. You got to work the whole stage. Don't just stand still. Engage everybody. Pull them into it. They don't know who you are. Make them remember. Like those kinds of things, it just stuck with me, and it became a part of who I am as an artist today. Just that was one of the greatest learning experiences I've ever had. But it was singing, shifting the atmosphere, and it got to the point where I became known as the shift in the atmosphere guy, and I was okay with it. So shifting the atmosphere is definitely the song that introduced me to the world.
I gotta say this. I have a disclaimer about shifting the atmosphere. It was around the time I lost someone very close to me, my godfather, who was like a dad to me, second dad to me. And that song came on the radio. I was driving, and I had to pull over. I had to pull over because I was done. I was done. So that song has a very special meaning to me. Just wanted to shout out that song and thank God for who wrote that song. Who wrote that?
I did. I wrote that
Oh my
song
God! Thank God.
2010, either 2009 or 2010. I
Oh
wrote that
man,
song.
thank God for you, man. That song got me through, and he later on passed away. But I felt something shifting, and that song spoke to where I was. And like you just said, you got the national exposure and all those things. How long? You know, everybody look at Pastor Nelson for where he is now, and they seeing residue now. They seeing everything that is the makeup of you, and they want that right away. Did it happen for you right away?
No.
Okay, that's what I know. But this is what the people think. They think you just show
By
up with a
no
song.
means.
They think you show up with a good song and a good haircut and some good shoes, and you're on. You're on. That's it. You ready for the big league. You
No, man. Nah.
What was that process like? And was there ever a time that you said, "The heck with this"?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
A couple of times I was like, yeah, I'm not sure that what I want out of this is worth what I'm going through in this.
Artists,
You
y'all
know,
hear that? Y'all hear that, artists?
yeah, I think we get to a point where as artists, sometimes we just want validation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whether or not we've earned it, I don't know an artist that doesn't want validation.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not we've earned it, I want to be very clear. Whether or
Right.
not we've earned it,
That's true.
but
That's true.
beyond that, it is also this idea that um, as a creative, you want to be celebrated and to be overlooked, or to feel like the people who are supposed to appreciate it don't appreciate it, or they take it for granted. I think all of that is a part of the dynamic of when you are, when you submit your creativity to scrutiny.
Wow.
That's the to
Wow.
me that's the hardest part about being an artist, is that being an artist means I must submit what I do to the world, hoping they like it. Hoping they like it.
Mhm.
But no, any artist that does not believe that scrutiny is a part of that dynamic is not being honest at all with regard to how the industry works. If you want to be awarded, you have to be scrutinized. If you're gonna win a Stellar, you're gonna be scrutinized. If you're gonna win a Grammy, you're gonna be scrutinized. You want to be on top of Billboard, you can't do that without scrutiny. It is impossible. And the lesson that I learned is anything of value must be validated, period. So if you have, let's just say, you go to the Louvre in France and you see the Mona Lisa on the wall, right? And you're like, man, that is an amazing painting. Guess what? The reason why it is a classic and the reason why it is valued at hundreds of millions of dollars is because somebody scrutinized it and validated it and called it authentic. Authenticity is only given to a thing after that thing has gone through a scrutinizing process. And what artists hate is scrutiny, without understanding that scrutiny is a thing that is necessary for you to be validated in any arena. And it's not just music, it's in every arena. There is somebody has to look at what you do and say, that's good or it's not. This works for the masses or it doesn't. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. It just may not be valuable in certain sections of life or certain sects of life. So I think we have to be okay with being scrutinized. So as an artist, were there times where I'm like, man, forget this, screw this, I'm out. Because I felt like the scrutiny was unfair. But the one thing about scrutiny that we have to understand is that it's subjective. So just because I may not be your cup of tea, but I may be your brother's cup of tea.
I'm somebody. I'm
somebody's cup of tea.
I'm somebody's.
But the caveat is that somebody may not matter in the industry.
Right.
And I have to be okay with the fact that my ministry is for the less than popular. My ministry is for people who may not be connected in the industry. And I'm not ineffective. I am effective in the metron to which God has called me. And I have to be okay with knowing that God may not have sent me to the masses. He sent me to the corner. And I have to be okay with that. And if I'm faithful over a few things, then God will make me ruler over many.
Somebody said, pulpit school teacher, artist, Bishop Julius Sloan. I see he kicking the
that's
dollar.
My guy. I love Bishop Sloan.
Bishop Sloan is on here tonight and he's kicking, he's starting up. Oh my God, what you just said was so another listen, I'm being blessed tonight. Today I'm taking a back seat. I'm supposed to be the interviewer, but I'm sitting over here just I'm loving it. I'm taking it all in. What happens when you're not accepted by the masses? Do you walk away or do you remember your why? Why are you doing this? That's what Pastor Nelson is talking about. What is your why? Why did you start this? Why did you begin doing music to begin with? Did you do this because you wanted the Grammy or you wanted the Stellar? So what happens when you don't get it? If you never get it, do you give up?
That's the question.
Do you give up?
Because here's the thing. Let's be honest. There are so many artists. I saw a list the other day of artists, and it was like a hip hop list, but like Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, and a couple other people like way up the ladder in hip hop. And I'm not even a hip hop guy, but I know the body of work that those people has created is something that should be most of us would be like, are you kidding me? You never won a Grammy? So
Nas just won his first Grammy.
See, that's what I'm saying. And he's he's one of the
since I was a kid,
top rapper, absolutely.
Since I was a kid,
talking about a body of work that goes probably 20 years.
Yeah,
and he's just being recognized.
Yeah,
at let's just call it 20 years. I don't know what it is. I'm guessing. That's
it's definitely over because I'm 35 now. I'll be 36, so probably over something like 25 something years.
Okay, so that it's insane to think that somebody of his ilk has never been recognized as an artist. It's insane to believe
As
that.
a Grammy Award winning artist, correct?
Right.
You're right.
But he's just getting there. So you got to think, like, I'm a Grammy nominated songwriter. And I've been nominated twice as a songwriter. I felt like I had records that were worthy of a Grammy nomination for Jason Nelson. It hasn't happened. You think I'm mad about that? No. No. You want to know why? I don't deserve a Grammy.
Wow.
Nobody does. Nobody deserves, like, oh, you deserve. No. And I think we have to be honest as artists that we big up our stuff like nobody else. And then we're disappointed because I bigged it up, but nobody believed it but me.
But that's all you need. That's all you need. And I want to turn it this way, Pastor, because this is getting real good now. Because when you look at the Grammys, and this is where people get messed up, they see other people winning, right? That look like that. And it can sting you when you know you're better than who won. Or you feel as if you're better than who won.
Okay, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, see, you see, this is how some of the artists are. This is how some of them get.
I'm glad you fixed it.
She could win. Why can't I? If he could win, I know I should have one. We get in trouble doing that all the time. We get in trouble doing that all the time. And comparison is the thief of joy.
Okay, that's very true. Comparison is the thief of joy. But go further. Okay.
Go ahead. Get into it. Get into it.
Comparison is a thief of joy. But the other problem is hubris is a liar. Pride is a liar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest about it. You know, if you've ever watched, and I haven't watched American Idol recently, but you know, back in the day when like the first maybe 8 or 9 seasons, they would spend like 3 weeks on the stage where everybody's kind of being interviewed and everybody's everybody's auditioning. And every single show, there was this one or two singers who, you know, whose parents are like, I've never ever heard anybody sing like my baby Julie. Julie's the best singer I've ever heard in my entire life. So and their belief is so big that when Julie gets to the point where she's in there with Paula Abdul and Randy and Simon Cowell, you're like, oh, Julie is about to kill. And Julie's like, down on the floor. And you're like, wait a minute. Julie can't sing at all.
Right.
Her surroundings believe she's amazing. And what it does is it creates a status in you that is false. Because the people around you may not know better.
Wow.
So now I can walk in pride, thinking I'm the best thing ever, but I'm only the best thing ever in my circle. When you're exposed to the world, you now recognize you are not the only gift that's available. And I think we have to be careful as artists to make make very presumptuous statements like I deserve a Grammy, or I deserve a Stellar Award. I deserve to be this, or I deserve to be that. You know, one year I was nominated for like 3 or 4 Stellars, and I won Praise and Worship CD of the Year that year. So I was surprised when they called my name. I was literally in the back joking with Isaac Curry and Anita Wilson. Literally, I was laughing. And Isaac said, "You dummy, go get your award. You just won." I said, "Man, I know I ain't win," because I saw who I was up against. Literally, in my mind, I said, "This is the one I know I can't win.
There's no way I could get this."
No way. But I ended up winning that year for Praise and Worship CD of the Year. You know, so now I'm thinking I got a shot. So when they called, and one was for like male vocalist of the year or something like that, and Marvin Sapp ended up winning the award. You know, and my kids were next to me, and my daughter was like, and I'm like, no, listen, and she was upset afterwards. I said, listen, I don't deserve anything.
Right.
Marvin is Marvin. He's Marvin Sapp.
Right.
He is Marvin Sapp.
That's right.
And to say that I lost an award to Marvin Sapp is not, that ain't no little thing. That's still a big thing
That's not
that I lost
that's
to
not a
Marvin
loss to
Sapp.
me. It's an
It,
honor that I'm in the category.
now you understand. But so
Right.
we as artists, we can't be so caught up in this is my year. You don't know that.
You
You
don't.
don't know what politics are happening behind the scene. You don't know whose hands are being greased. And by no way, I'm not trying to cast any aspersions. Let me be clear. But you
Right.
don't know if something has happened behind the scenes. You don't know if your management pissed off the people who are judges. Like, you don't know what happened. You could be completely innocent, and somebody who works on your behalf has done something that like a year ago, and you're completely unaware of it, and it negatively impacts you. You don't know. So I think we have to be careful as
You just
artists to
touched
not make that assumption.
you just touched on something, and I was going there, and then I got, you know, I got switched off, but now I'm back. Thank God. Thank you, Pastor. You're in the Holy Ghost. You're in the Holy Ghost. But that is it right there. You don't know who knows who. You don't know the relationships, and there's a difference as you going up as an independent versus you going up against a bunch of machines.
Mm-hmm.
And when you conquer, just give glory to God. Give glory to God because you are going up against a bunch of machines. Explain that because you just said something really, really, really important there, really imperative there about team. You don't know who in your team or management may have ticked off someone. How important is it to
Yeah.
have the right people around you? And how important was that for you? Who helped Jason Nelson be who Jason Nelson is?
No, listen. So first off, your team in the industry is everything. Your
Mm-hmm.
team is everything. Whether it be your label, or whether you've compiled a group of people who understand what's supposed to happen in the industry. That is
Mm-hmm.
very important. Nobody is, in my opinion, there are no artists that get there by themselves.
No one.
Kirk Franklin has a team. You know
Right.
what I mean? Marvin Sapp has a team of people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has somebody who works with them. And again, it's either your label or a team that you have comprised yourself that has the ability to help you navigate those spaces. You need people who you're connected to. There are people right now who are, right now, I'm no longer, I used to be with RCA, I'm no longer with them. I'm now with Ty Scott.
Uh-huh.
And they get it. Ty Scott gets it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
RCA got it for that space of my life. Ty Scott understands where I am now, and they are helping me navigate this space with a degree of clarity that I hadn't seen, prior to this moment. But again,
Wow.
I'm a different person. Who I was when I signed my first deal in 2011 is not who I am now in 2021. You know what I mean? A
Wow.
decade has passed. I've learned so much from then to now that if I use the same system as when I got signed, now I'm operating at a deficit because my team, my present team, has to know my current concerns. What I understand about the industry is completely different. What I understand behind the scenes, completely different.
Completely.
And I'm in a situation now with my first deal, I didn't own anything. In this situation, I own everything. You know what I
That
mean?
matters. That matters.
So it matters. So the thing is, you have to know who you are. You have to know how things work, and you need somebody who can help you walk through the seasons of your life that you're currently in. So the thing is, let's just say you got a Grammy worthy record, you know what I mean? A Grammy substantively,
Correct.
the
Correct.
sonics are right, the songs are good, the singing is good, it's impacting people. Your following has grown, and your fan base is all behind you, and you feel like the engine is moving. You still need people to help you navigate spaces like the Stellars and help you navigate
Mm-hmm.
spaces like the Grammys. You don't go to the Stellars without somebody helping you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, you got to be willing to invest the money that it takes to have the team in place. You know what I mean?
Wow.
You got to buy some plane tickets. You got to buy some hotel rooms. You need
A lot.
somebody who's
A
going,
lot.
right.
A
Listen,
lot.
the last couple of years, I was like, okay, I feel like it's time for me to kind of step into a different echelon. I had to hire a team, so I hired a stylist. I never had a stylist,
Mm-hmm.
but I hired a stylist, and we had to have meetings, and I had to do fittings, all the stuff I hate doing, but I had to do all of that in order to meet the moment that I was in. You know what I mean? So,
Wow.
and this was when Forever was big.
Mhm.
So my stylist had,
It's still big. It's
yeah,
still
it's still
big.
big, but I'm just saying, like, this is when it first it had
Right,
first
right,
come
right,
out.
right.
So I was performing on, the pre-show and a couple other things. The look mattered. So I
Right.
said, I'm going to spend the money on a stylist. I'm going to spend money. I'm going to have the right team in place in order to do it. And that is imperative. You need somebody to tell you, you look good or you don't look good. You need
Right.
somebody to tell you, say this or don't say that. You need somebody to
Right.
tell you, go into this field or don't go into that. All of those things are important within the narrative of how you're going to be successful. You need management that's going to
You
help you
do.
walk through that place. I have a manager that's been with me from the beginning. And, but I also have a team of other people who help me navigate those spaces that my personal manager can't, or my personal manager doesn't have the bandwidth for in any particular season. All of those things are important for you to be successful. And it costs to be at the top.
It
And I
costs to,
think
it costs to be the boss, as my grandmother
it
would say.
costs to be the boss. If you're worth your weight, if you're gonna make it, there's nobody who ain't at the top that doesn't have a team in place. Period.
Mm, mm. And I hope y'all listening, because a wise man once said, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to last long, you're gonna need some help. And you'll, if you don't know that, you'll find it out sooner than later. Absolutely no one. It's impossible. Even a millionaire, at some point, he had to go hire people. At some point, when your company grows, it's too much for you. You got to get people, and you can't be scared to invest. Like Pastor Nelson is saying, investing has changed this man's life. He's not where he is because he sat on a seat of do nothing. He invested in himself, and he got himself there. And this is the kind of realness I love. Artists like yourself to come on and be transparent with the people and let them know, because they right now, to some, I know you don't feel that way, but to some, you're untouchable. To some, they don't even know how they can approach you. Oh, that's Pastor Nelson, but Pastor Nelson is a real
What are you
dude.
talking about?
You.
No, man.
I was like,
No,
yo,
man.
I know some people like, yo, I can't even, like, who's the secretary? Like, I gotta get to somebody before I get to him. I know I just
I
can't go
don't
to
live in
him.
that land at all.
Well, you should, because you deserve it.
Okay, well, let me be clear. Let me be
Go
clear.
ahead, go ahead, be clear.
You do need buffers.
You do, you do, you
That
do.
much is true. I think you do need buffers. You do need somebody who can take certain hits for you. That is important. And I hope this doesn't come across the same awkwardly, but
Yeah.
there should be some level of exclusivity to who you are.
It should.
Everybody shouldn't be able to get to you.
It
I
should.
think
It should.
if everybody has access to you, then there's no mystique attached to who you are. And also,
Mm-hmm.
um, the higher the value of who you are, the
Mm-hmm.
less access people should have to you.
I
Nobody
understand.
should be able to just get to you. When you're, let's look at it from a political perspective.
I agree. And you touch it. I'm gonna let you finish that, but I'm gonna say something else. I love that what you just said. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like from in politics, when you're in local government, you
Mm-hmm.
touch everybody,
You
right?
have to. Yes, yes,
But when
yes.
you become the mayor of a city, that access starts to get limited because
Mm-hmm.
now you become a threat to people. You take on detractors, you take on enemies. So you have to be a little bit more scrutinizing with regard to who gets into your circle. If you become the governor, less access. Why? Because there are more people who you cover. If you go to
Right.
the National Senate in Washington D.C., there's less access. Yeah, everybody can't
Mm-hmm.
get to you. So even if you're having a town hall and things of that nature, now you got security. You got to have security because there are people who are for you, there are people who are against you. You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
become the vice president, less access. You become the president, less access. So the higher you
Absolutely.
go, there is a level of separation between even people you love to a certain degree, not because you're being elite, but because the higher you go, the more danger there is.
Selena is not here today because somebody had access that shouldn't have had access.
Absolutely.
And so many others for that reason. We see the thing happening with Pop Smoke. We see these are inside jobs. We see the thing happening with this one and that. How do you think it happened? You know, things like that just don't happen. This is why you need a certain level of exclusivity when you get to a certain point for those reasons. Not to say we try to be grandioso. Pastor Nelson, he is not like that at all. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
They're
not.
not. They're not like that. And so many others, maybe some are, but he's not like that. We can't speak for everybody, but he's not like that. So, but you got to understand why. You got to understand why. You spoke about your dear friend, is the big bro in the game, and I call him the GOAT, Kurt. The situation that's going on with him, I absolutely, hate it. What do you feel about that, Pastor? I think you're more qualified to speak on it than I am.
Why you gonna do this to me right now? Why are you doing this to me?
Well, Pastor, they talking about it all over. I feel
yeah, and I've purposefully stayed out of the fray. I've purposefully stayed out of the fray. Let me tell you why. It's not my business.
It's not. All right, I understand that.
It's not my. No, so here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with saying, Kirk is my friend.
Yes.
Okay. Let me start there. That's my dude. And we literally just talked, just FaceTime a couple of days ago, prior to all of this popping up.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give context, I support my friend. What happened was ugly,
Yes.
and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Did he handle it right? That's their business.
I think he'll tell you he didn't handle it right. He apologized, more or less, for it coming out that way.
Here's the thing. And people like, everybody cusses. All artists. I wonder what happened if a mic was on you and somebody recorded your private conversation. I mean, I don't cuss, but
I mean, neither.
I'm not condemning anybody that does. You know what I mean? And here's the reality: everybody has a thing.
Right.
You may not cuss, but there's something. You know what I mean?
Because something.
All have sinned and all fall short of the glory of God. All of us. So
I wanted you to speak on it because I knew you was going to take us here. Yes, sir.
The bottom line is a very, very private family dynamic got exposed to the public.
Mm-hmm.
And none of us have context unless we're part of the family. We don't have context.
We don't know what happened, why.
And we only got a piece of the conversation.
Correct.
What his son exposed was the part that made Kirk look the worst. That's what he exposed.
Correct.
So, again, it's not my business. I support Kirk. That's my brother. I love him, and how I feel about him didn't change. When I saw the cursing video, I was like, oh, okay. And I kept it moving. Why? It ain't my business. Yeah. You know what I mean? Is that gonna hurt him in the long run? Probably not.
I don't think so.
You know what I mean? And I think the dynamic behind it makes it so that people understand it's a family situation. And some people are like, well, it was toxic, blah, 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 blah. It was two grown men having a conversation. You know what I mean? At this point, the son ain't 12. He ain't 15. He's 33.
33.
It is what it is. So yeah, it ain't my business. Do I have an opinion about it? Yes. Am I sharing it? No, I'm not.
I understand. And I totally concur with you. And I have an 18-year-old son and a 13-year-old. And my 18-year-old has tested me, and he got tested right back. And Lord, had he recorded it. Javon, I know you're on here. I saw you on here. I love you, son. My son will tell you his dad is no joke. Because you bring your children up and they disrespect you, you're gonna lose it. I don't care who you are. You're gonna lose it. TD Jakes would have took his son head off. You're gonna lose it if your son talks to you crazy. You may not cuss, but you're gonna do something that may not be as right or as righteous as people think. Wendy Williams spoke about it. Everybody's talking about it, and this is what I hate is that. Now, they're supposed to be the church and the church this and the church that.
Yeah, but first off, it's a false narrative.
Right.
And nobody ever said that the members of the church were perfect.
Correct.
Christ is the only perfect one. And
absolutely.
And if we're going to be spiritual about this, the spiritual context is all of us are being perfected. Every single one of us, from the top to the bottom, We are being perfected. None of us are perfect. And if we don't look at this from a healthy perspective, we'll buy into the ideology that where we are and what is happening now, especially with Kirk, is emblematic of the church. This is not emblematic of the church. This
That's
is
right.
emblematic of Kirk's family. And we have
Right.
to separate the two. That in that moment, Kirk wasn't being, and I hate to say it like this, he wasn't in the church, he wasn't in a pulpit. You
That's
know,
right.
now if that language had been spoken in a pulpit, completely
Right.
different scenario,
That's
and now
true.
I got a whole lot to say.
You're
You
right.
know what I
You're
mean?
right. You're right.
But this
You're
is
right.
a personal conversation between him and his son that has nothing to do
With
with the
nobody.
public. The
Nobody.
public was never supposed to be privy to it. So I'm going to operate from the perspective that Kirk didn't
That's
mean for me
good.
to hear this
That's
because it
good,
ain't my
Pastor.
business.
That's good, Pastor. That's really good. And with that note, we off of it because you wasn't supposed to hear it. That's what it was. You wasn't supposed to hear it anyway. For Wendy Williams with herself to be talking about it, she can't be talking about nothing anyway. With her losing her husband and on cocaine and everything else going on with her. But
Hey,
anyway,
I don't know nothing about her neither. I'm minding my business. I'm over here minding my business. Okay.
Well, I do know about him. Pastor Nelson, he's a pastor. He's a pastor. He can't say what he want to say, so I'm gonna say it for him tonight. But anyway, Pastor Nelson, I'm messing with you. Anyway, if any of you got any questions for Pastor Nelson, give the questions tonight. I see you. I'm gonna get to you right now, sister. I see you. Pastor Nelson, what's next? Do you see any? Oh, before we go there, he's a pastor. He has a church. Are you doing virtual services, or are you doing? Are you letting people in your building right now?
No, we're virtual right now
Okay, and why is that, Pastor?
because it's not 100% deemed to be safe to get back into worship. Now, let me tell you something. There are churches here in Baltimore that are gathering. Like coronavirus is gone.
It's over.
Bless your hearts and all y'all parts. Y'all go right on ahead. But wisdom says we
Right,
don't know the end of this yet.
right.
We pray. We take all of the precautions, but we're still in a virtual space. Um, we do some services live, and we do some others taped. And the Lord has been meeting us without us being in the building, because one of the things I've discovered throughout this entire pandemic is that we became slave to the building, and we
Right.
actually missed out on a lot of what was happening with the context of what church was supposed to be. If you study the first century church, they did not have a building. So everybody, this started in the first century church, and they were in the church. No, they weren't. They were not in a building. They were in houses. The power of God, the Bible says the power of God spread from heart to heart as they went from house to house. So technically, we're closer now to a first century model than we've been in millennia. Period. So no, I'm not afraid of staying in the virtual space as long as
Okay.
we have to stay in the virtual space.
I love it. I love it. And to those of you that want to do it, go ahead. You can be free to do it.
More power to you.
More power to you. And just the same as well, we got to ask this: are you going to have an event? Are you going to do a concert in the midst of this and invite people and have tickets and stuff? We ain't talking about what nobody else doing. Is Pastor Nelson doing that? Obviously not. If he ain't having church, amen. So all right, we moving on.
Did you see me drink?
All right.
That was your answer. I answered.
We moving on. We moving on from that. We moving on from that. I get it. We moving. We going this way. We going this way, Pastor. All right.
Moving on.
So with that being said, I think that is very wise. I think that is very, very wise of you. I think it's very wise. There's nothing wrong with it, and if you want to do it, and as long as you doing it in a safe way. I mean, is there really a safe way to do it? We don't know. With the pandemic being the way it is, losing over 500,000 people and still counting, have you lost anyone in your family due to COVID or anything? like that?
No, not in our family.
Oh, thank
We've
God.
lost some church members. We went a long time, and we didn't lose anybody. And then we went through a spate of deaths in our church, where we had, I think it was maybe 6 people, 6 or 7 people that we lost over the course of 2 months. And I mean, like, to the point where I was like, not another funeral, not please, not another funeral.
Hmm.
So yeah, we've run through it. We've run through it, but God has been, and I think that's the thing that's been driving also, because for me, it's not fear. People are like, well, y'all can't be afraid to get back to church. Well, I mean, God has not given us the spirit of fear, so I don't operate in fear. But I
Right,
do understand prudence. I do understand wisdom, and I
right.
do understand that the Bible doesn't tell us to position ourselves in deadly places. The Bible says you will take up serpents and they won't bite you. It doesn't say take up serpents and they won't bite you. And I think we have to be clear that we have to not create scenarios where we're positioning ourselves to be, you know, endangered by coronavirus. If you read throughout and I don't want to wax theological here, but
Mhm.
but if you study out the Bible, there are more times where God sent people around danger
Mhm.
than he did sending them to danger.
Wow.
There's more times where he says, avoid
Wow.
this, avoid that,
Uh-huh.
avoid this, avoid that. Even when it comes to sin, flee fornication.
Please.
The Bible tells us, if you read the children of Israel, the phenomena of what the Lord did in Second Chronicles 20, for instance, when he talks about Moab, Mount Seir, and Ammon.
Mhm.
What Jehoshaphat says, he says, Lord, you told us to avoid them. That's
Mm.
part of his prayer. In the beginning, because we love reading, the battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. But what Jehoshaphat says in his prayer is, Lord, you told us to avoid them. You told us to not deal with this. And even with the path that the Lord took the children of Israel through the Red Sea was to avoid enemies.
Wow.
It was,
Wow.
if you read the text, if you look at what was surrounding them, he took them that way to avoid certain enemies because he knew they were not ready for that encounter. It wasn't fear, it was wisdom. So yeah, I think we have
Wow.
to be careful to not, fall prey to y'all scared and y'all being punks, blah blah blah. No, it's not that. When
It's
the
bigger
Lord
than
tells me
that.
to go back in, we'll go back in. When the
That's
Lord
right.
releases me, then we'll go back in. I have no problem with it. I ain't scared a little bit.
I I love it. I love it. I love it. It's not about being scared. It's about being smart sometimes. And you know, a good run, as my grandmother would say, is better than a bad stand. And we and although it may not be detrimental to your health if you go back, but who wants to find out? I don't.
I'm good.
So Pastor, Residue, this song, I've been having it on repeat. We playing it and rotating and all that good stuff. How did this come about? Why now?
Why now? Um, I think this is a sound that the earth needs to hear. I think that's why now.
Right.
We need to be reminded about the value of being in proximity with God. I think that's important. And the song is really about what happens when I get close to God. And the truth is, the Bible says that we are washed by the water of the word. But it also says that if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. All things are washed, or all things have passed away, and behold, all things are become new.
Uh-huh.
So part of what we see in, when we get into real relationship with the Lord is he cleans us. And, he applies spiritual detergent to our lives
Uh-huh.
that washes away our past. The Bible says in Malachi, I believe it says that the Lord will cast our sins into the sea and remember them no more.
Yes,
So,
sir.
my dad and his generation called it the sea of forgetfulness, but that's
Yeah,
not,
that's what.
it
Yeah,
ain't biblical, but that, I mean, those words aren't in the Bible, but the context is. So
got
it
you.
cast your sins into the sea and remember them no more. So residue is really about the Lord taking away the residue of your past, the residue of your bad mistakes, the residue of the choices that we've made that are counterintuitive to real relationship with the Lord. and the song basically captures that particular truth. And just, we take 3.5 minutes to tell you about what happens when you get close to the Lord.
I love it. And this is another joint that you wrote.
Yeah, I co-wrote this with a husband and wife team that are phenomenal. Danny and Jerome Baylor. They are absolutely phenomenal. They're my little bro and sister. And when I tell you I love them, I mean, I love them. They're phenomenal songwriters, and they're the impetus for the sound of Residue.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm telling y'all, if y'all don't have the song, yeah, I know everybody got it by now. Residue by Pastor Jason Nelson. It will bless your life. And it's so signature him. It's so you. It's so you. I tell people all the time, but that smoothness, I think we spoke about this last time, but that smoothness in your voice, you my top five, one of my top five favorite singers that are alive, top five. Everybody, yes, and everybody knows I'm a stickler for my brother, D. Charles Perry, who's on the live right now. I feel like there's nobody that can sing better than Charles Perry. I just feel that way. He's my brother. I could be biased, but if it got somebody that's going to come close to him, it's Jason Nelson to me. and I gotta say that. I love Pastor Jason Nelson's voice. That smoothness is so. And we spoke about this before about Marvin Winans. It reminds me of that feel. What goes into the makeup of Jason Nelson? How did you?
You mean vocally?
Yeah, vocally. How did who do you listen to? What inspires you? What goes into you that makes you produce like this?
Okay, so if you're gonna take a pot, if you want to make the Jason Nelson voice, aside from what I have naturally, aside from what I was born with, if you want a composite of my sound, you take Donny Hathaway, Marvin Winans, Eric Dawkins, Fred Hammond, Kim Burrell, and little Donnie McClurkin.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah, you put all of that in a pot.
You're gonna get a machine. You're gonna get a machine.
Yeah, that's who I am.
Which is you.
And then you pepper in some what's his name? Why is his name gone from Daryl Coley?
Okay.
Daryl Coley and what's his name? Pastor Moore, James
Moore, Reverend James Moore.
Little Daryl Coley, little James Moore.
That was my brother's favorite singer, James Moore.
James Moore, yeah, he was awesome. Wow. I think my favorite song from James Moore is when he sang "God Will Take Care of You."
With the no teeth in his mouth.
Yeah, with the no teeth in his mouth.
When he had to hold the mic up like this.
When he used to take his teeth out, he would turn his head, take his teeth out, and destroy.
I love watching that whole tape. Charlie used to get that. My brother, we used to watch that on cassette tape. The cassette, the VHS. Oh my God! Yes.
See, people don't even understand.
They don't know.
That James Moore, that be not dismayed. Man, listen. That oh man, James Moore was a true, and that he was one of the guys that let me know, like, you can be a powerhouse and be skilled at the same time. Because he would do the the runs and stuff like that. Because Marvin Winans was always, to me, about tone and placement. I think that's why he became the GOAT to me. It was always about tone and placement. But James Moore was, he was power, but he was also, he could riff through a song at the same time. You know what I mean? Other than so you got Daryl Coley, who is more riff than power. James Moore was power with those riffs and stuff, added in. And so, then you add in like Kim Burrell, who was like, okay, and I think she's otherworldly. But
otherworldly.
She was the one, I think, that introduced us to, tone displacements, singing in and out of keys, finding theoretical reasons to make certain decisions is what Kim Burrell did for me as a song as a singer. So, and then Donny Hathaway, another one, just tone, 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 tone.
Donny Hathaway, favorite song? What's yours of his?
A Song for You.
Oh, I love that. It doesn't it just put you in the feel? Those type of songs, it just put you in a feel. Like I remember my childhood sitting up at grandmama's
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Yeah, it takes me back. Good feel songs. But what you said was so powerful, and not to crap on anybody that's out now in our industry, because I love what we have in the industry. I say that with the utmost respect for everybody, man. Thank God for Jason Nelson. That's what I'm gonna say. Thank God. We on this show we give people they roses while they can smoke. We don't wait till you die to post a post and say, "Oh my God, he
I
was my
appreciate
favorite
it.
singer."
Thank
Did
you.
you ever tell them that while they was living? Jesus, maybe they would have stayed here a little longer. But the point I believe in giving people their flowers. Uh, you know, Daryl Coley, James Moore, when they would sing, and guys of that ilk, when they would sing "When Sunday Comes," Daryl Coley, and those type of songs, you felt it. You
Yeah.
felt that. You felt that. Do you? What do you feel about the state and shape that gospel music is in today?
You really trying to get me in trouble. We don't have to end this thing
Oh,
because
okay, well,
you,
wait.
you about to you trying to sit me down. Um,
I'm gonna block this
I
part
do
out.
have
I'm
to
gonna take
go
it
in
in.
just a few minutes,
We
but
out. We out. We
um,
out.
but this is what I'll say about the gospel industry,
Okay.
and I'll try to say this as genteel as I can.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting.
Okay.
The state of gospel music is interesting because one of the benefits of gospel music is it is comprised of so many different styles. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So you have like your Dawkins and Dawkins, then you have your Fred Hammond. Then
Yeah.
let's be clear. You got your new school Fred Hammond, you got your Pages of Life and Purpose by
Mm-hmm.
Design Fred Hammond, you got Fred Hammond who was a solo artist, then you got Fred Hammond in commission. That's
That's
all
right.
gospel music, and
That's
it
true.
all is still relevant. You have gospel hip hop, you have gospel jazz, you have your praise and worship gospel. You have your
Mm-hmm.
life gospel, like your Jonathan McReynolds and your Doe Jones, people of that ilk. You have your praise and worship, gospel, uh, Tasha Cobbs, William McDowell,
Mm-hmm.
people that kind of flow in that area. You have your
William McDowell.
contemporary gospel, like Jay Moss and, certain others. You have
Love
people
Jay
who kind
Moss.
of hybrids. You
Yes.
got
Yes.
PJ Morton, who does kind of runs a gamut. You got your groups in gospel. You got your Clark sisters. You have your Winans. You got your commissions. And I'm naming stuff that I like to listen to personally. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you got your new school. And then you have um, your praise and worship, like, well, I should say more worship artists, kind of thing, like Maverick City and Travis Green and people who, Todd Delaney, who are kind of more black, but it's still that almost CCM, like black CCM, if that makes sense.
A little mixture. I got you. I
Yeah.
feel you. I'm
But
following.
all of that is gospel music.
Yes, sir.
And then you got Triple E and Lecrae and The Truth and all of those other hip hop artists that all comprise gospel music. And the truth of the matter is, gospel is so much,
It is.
but we're so hung up on what we like that we're not allowing gospel music to be everything that it can be.
I
And
love
I
that.
think it's a very, very weird juxtaposition that we
Mhm.
have all of these people who want to express gospel music the way they express gospel music, but they're being pigeonholed into one sound or one particular slant that is robbing us of the beauty of what gospel music is supposed to represent. So that's where I am on gospel music.
Got it. We need more parody.
Absolutely.
It's good that we have parody and that you do your thing and I do my thing and they do their thing and they do their thing. That's what we need.
But gospel music is monolithic right now. And I think that's a problem.
I understand. I understand totally, totally. Listen, I have enjoyed this time with you, with Pastor Jason Nelson. I know all of you have. I saw some of your members on.
Yeah,
Gabriel Titus was on
yeah,
tonight. I
that's what
saw
I
that.
did.
Yeah, I saw.
Imana's on. I saw her too.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I saw a few of them on tonight, and everybody was chiming in. Listen, tell us what's coming up.
I mean, right now, just we're really supporting and doing what we can to bring recognition to Residue, which is the
Hmm.
newest single from my new release that'll be out later on this year. And this new record is going to be studio record, and I really believe that it's going to be a blessing to the body. Some of the parody that we were just talking about is
Hmm.
going to be contained on this record, and
Okay.
people are going to see the broad swath of music that moves me as an artist and as a songwriter and as a musician. And I'm really, really excited about being able to share that with everybody. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that. I also have a book that came out last year called Access, The Power of Praise and Worship. And it's like a lot of the discussion that we've had today. That's available on Amazon. You can go click on Amazon and you can find it there, or go to my website, jnelsononline.com, and there's a link there for it. If you haven't heard Residue yet, click the link in my bio on Instagram or Facebook or on what is it, Twitter, I believe,
Hmm.
and you'll see a link there so you can go listen to the song, whatever medium you like listening to the song, whether you want to download it, stream it, purchase it, it's out there. Go check it out. I promise you won't listen once. You're gonna listen at least 3 times.
Listen, you heard it from the man himself, Pastor Nelson. We are honored to have you back once again with us. When you do something big and major again, we're going. Well, heck, hopefully COVID will be over, and.
Listen, Lord, whenever you're ready,
And we could
send your
come.
angel and destroy the pestilence. Amen.
Please do it, and hopefully we could come and sit at the palace and do an interview live in the living room or something. Hopefully we could do something, or at a location. Anyway, Pastor, thank you so much for coming on. Those of you that tuned in tonight, man, you know we love you. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, it's your boy Trevone Perry. Remember to live on purpose for the purpose that God has for your life. We love you. Peace.
Peace.